So this is going to be our Web3 AI game here. You can see it's the quest to find the keys. All we're going to do here is log in to play. And we have our embedded wallet logged in here. So a user can sign in with a social login or email and they'll be generated a wallet. So we're going to select Google here. I've selected my email. We can see here we're getting logged in. This is my wallet right here that was generated for me. And you can see here, let's start our adventure. And down here is my prompt or my input here. So it says to start, what is your name? So we'll just say Sean. We can hit enter or send. You can see here our bot is responding and our text-based journey begins. We're on a journey to find these three keys, the Crimson, Azure, and the Gold key. And we can see here that we can check our balance and everything. So I can say, what is my current key balance? You can see here, it checks it. It says Crimson keys, we have 0. The Azure key, we actually have 1. And Gold key, we have 0. So let's adventure the forest. So you can see here, you can read a little bit about the lore of what's happening. We are given some directions. We can go left, we can go ahead, or we can go to the right. So let's say we'll go to the right here. You can see here that we see some stones near the edge and something glints in the sunlight. And then let's just say, let's check out the large stone near the water's edge. There you go. You can see we have found the gold key. So now that we found the gold key, we can say check key balance again. And you can see here, we now have the Azure key and we have 1 gold key. So again, this is all keeping track of this behind the scenes. It's checking our wallet that we have connected here. It's checking the NFTs that we've claimed. And all of this is happening with thirdweb's engine behind the scene. Hey everyone, Sean Watasa here, back with another tutorial video. And in today's video, we're going to be building our very own Web3 AI game using thirdweb and OpenAI. And essentially, this is going to be a text-based game. So a user is going to chat with a bot that we're going to use OpenAI to generate the prompts and text for this chat. And ideally, what you're going to have to do is find these keys through this text-based journey. So we're going to use OpenAI to generate this AI chat to create this game for us. Then we're going to be using thirdweb's engine and connect it with OpenAI, where when we find a key, OpenAI can then call these functions from engine and mint keys to the user, who will have a wallet that is connected when they play our game. So an overview of what we're going to be doing. We'll then deploy the necessary smart contract to create the keys for our application. And then we'll jump into our code editor and build out our Web3 AI game. So with all of that being covered, let's jump on the computer here and take a look at a demo of what we're going to be building. This is what we're going to be building. So let's start by building it out and let's deploy our smart contract first. So for these keys, we're going to use an ERC 1155 smart contract. We're going to mint the Crimson, Azure, and Gold key. And then we're going to use that as our smart contract that gets called by thirdweb's engine every time someone finds a key and claims it. So we're going to head on over to thirdweb here. We're going to connect our wallet. Once you have connected, we're going to head on over to the contracts tab. And we're going to hit deploy contract. And here you can explore the pre-built contracts. We're going to scroll down to the NFTs section here, and we're going to deploy an addition contract. We don't need a drop contract because we don't need these NFTs to be claimable by another wallet. We just need our backend wallet from thirdweb's engine to be able to distribute these keys to the users of our app. So we're going to select addition here, and we're going to hit deploy now. We're going to name this. So we'll just name this YouTube AI game, but we'll take out the test. Symbol will be AI game. And you can add an image description and everything and fill out the remainder of these parameters. In the network or chain, we're going to select the dropdown and select the network or blockchain you want to deploy your smart contract to and use. For this tutorial, we're going to use Mumbai, but you can search any EVM compatible blockchain, testnet or mainnet, and use that for your deployment. Again, I'm going to use Mumbai here and I'm going to click deploy now. We'll get our transaction that appears here. We're going to hit confirm to deploy our contract. We'll get a signature request here to sign to add it to our dashboard. And once that has been deployed here, you will be brought to your contract dashboard. And we need to now mint our NFTs here. So we're going to head over on the left-hand navigation here to NFTs. And we're going to mint our 3 keys here. So we're going to give this one here. This one's going to be the Crimson key. You can add a media file. The initial supply, we're going to say 0. We shouldn't have a supply yet until people start claiming these NFTs. So we'll hit 0. Again, you can add media, description, and properties and attributes to your NFT, but we're just going to give it a name and initial supply here. I'm going to mint that NFT. Going to confirm that transaction. There you go. And you can see we have our Crimson key here. So I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to do this for the Azure key and the Golden key. So Azure key, initial supply of 0, we'll mint, confirm this. There you go. And then finally, we'll do the Golden key here, initial supply of 0 and mint. There you go. And we now have our smart contract set. So again, we have our smart contract here with the ERC 1155s. This means that we can have multiple owners of this token here. So as people claim the Crimson key, the supply here will increase and we can mint this token ID 0 to those wallets. And we have our 3 keys here. So these are the 3 keys that our game has to find: the Crimson key, the Azure key, and the Golden key. So I'm just going to copy this contract address here on the side because we're going to need it later on in our application. And again, we have our smart contract set. So next thing we're going to do is start building out our app. So I'm going to open up my terminal here and I'm going to create a new application or project here. So I'm going to run npx thirdweb create app. We'll just update our version of our CLI here. All right, we're going to name our project here a Web3 AI game. And we're going to use Next and TypeScript for this tutorial. And once that is done, we'll change into our Web3 AI game project here. We'll open this up in our code editor. And in our code editor, the first thing we're going to do is set up our thirdweb provider. So we can set up our application by going to the pages folder. We'll go to the _app.tsx. And we're going to set up this thirdweb provider here that wraps our application. So the first thing we need to set up is the client ID here. If we come back to our file directory and go to the .env.example file here, you'll see that we have a client ID variable here that we need to get our client ID for. And this is just going to be our thirdweb API key. So we can come back to thirdweb here. We'll go to our settings. I'll just open this up in a new tab. And in here, you can create an API key. Now I have one created already. If you want to learn a little bit more about API keys, we'll drop a link down in the description below to some documentations and a tutorial video. But I'm going to copy that API key here, come back and paste that in. I'm also going to rename this file here to just.env, get rid of the example. Then I'll come back to the _app.tsx file. The next thing we need to do is set the active chain. And now the active chain is set to this active chain variable, which is up here. And by default, it's set to the Ethereum mainnet. But we're going to switch this over to Mumbai because that is the network or chain that I deployed my contract to. But you're going to change this to whatever network or chain you deployed your contract to that you're going to be using. And that's all we need to do to set up the thirdweb provider for our application. The one extra thing I'm going to do here is set up our supported wallets. We want to support only embedded wallets to allow a user to easily sign in with social login or email. So in our thirdweb provider here, we're going to add supported wallets. And we're going to give it an array of the wallets that we want to support. Now, the only wallet that I want to support is embedded wallet. So I'm just going to add embedded wallet here. But if you wanted to support embedded wallet and maybe you wanted to support like MetaMask, Coinbase wallet, or other Wallet Connect wallets, you could add that within the supported wallets as well. But if you do supported wallets and you only add one supported wallet, that is the only wallet option that is going to be available to your user. So if I open up my files here and in the pages folder, go to index.tsx, you can see that we have some template code here that you get when you create a project with thirdweb. And we can just open up our terminal here and I'm going to run yarn dev. So we'll open this up here, take a look at it. This should show us our templated code that we get with thirdweb. There you go. You see we have some links to the portal dashboard and some templates. And we have our connect wallet button here, which if I sign out, has the connect wallet button. And again, we only show the embedded options, so social logins and email login to connect to our Web3 application. So now that we have everything set, we can start building out our app. And if we take a look back at our other example here, we want to, if I disconnect our wallet here, we don't want to display any of the game functionality until a user has logged in with one of the social logins or email. So once they log in, only then should we show the chat prompt bar here, and should they be able to start playing the game. So coming back to our code editor here, I'm going to just drop this down. I'm going to get rid of everything within this main tag here. So I'm just going to select all of this and delete that. We'll get rid of the image import here. And within this, I'm just going to create a div really quick. And then within that div, create one more. Now, in order to display our game, only if a wallet is connected, we'll have to somehow check if there is a wallet connected to our application. And we can actually do that with one of the hooks from thirdweb here. So I'm going to create a variable here called address, and we're going to use the use address hook from thirdweb. And what this use address hook does is it returns us back the wallet address of the connected wallet if there is one. And if there isn't, it gives us back undefined. So then we can use that to see if a wallet is connected or not. And if not, then we can just display the option to connect the wallet, and we won't prompt them to play our game or show any of the chats. So in here, let's give this inner div here some styling. That way we can put in our title and everything here. So I'm just going to create a h1 tag here, and we're going to call this the quest to find the keys. And next to that, we're going to have a connect wallet component. This is a UI component by thirdweb, and it gives us the connect wallet button with all the functionalities to connect a wallet to our application. But we do have some properties here that we can change, like the button title will say login to play. We can also change the modal title. This is going to be the title on the top of the modal that pops up to sign in. So we can just say choose login. And we can also get rid of any branding or logo here. We'll just give the modal title URL a blank string. So if I save that and come back to my app, you can see here we have our title right here on the left, and we have our connect wallet button, which we changed this to login to play. This here, instead of saying connect and showing the thirdweb logo, it now shows no logo and it shows choose login. And that was the modal title and the modal title icon URL that we changed there. So now that we have that top bar set, we can now start creating our chat section. And again, we only want to show this chat section if there is an address connected or if a wallet is connected. So if there is an address, we'll show our chat here. And if there is no address, then we'll just create a paragraph tag here that says login to start. And we'll just give this a little styling of some padding here. So if we come back to my app and we close this, it should say login to start because we don't have a wallet connected. Once we have a wallet connected here, it's not going to show anything because we didn't add anything yet. But if we come back here and say in here, I just say connected. When we come back, you can see this is where we're going to add our game basically for our OpenAI chat to play our text-based game. So next thing we're going to do is start to build that chat component right over here. So coming back to our code editor, I'm going to come into my files here and I'm going to create a new folder. We're going to name this components. And I'm going to create a new file, and we're going to make a chat.tsx file and create our chat component here. So first thing I'm going to do is create some example text to start off our chat. We're just going to create one here that says to start, what is your name? And that will be our chat prompt that we give the user to start off our game. Then we're going to create our chat component here. So we're just going to say chat, which is going to be a React functional component. And then down here, we're going to export chat. And then for our component here, we're just going to return, and then we'll add a div in here for now. So to create this chat, we're going to have an input and a form that we submit. So we're going to create a couple of variables here. The first one is going to be our form ref, which we're going to use ref, and it's going to be an HTML form element. The second one is going to be our input ref, which we're going to use an input element. We're setting both of these to null. And we're also going to get our address here as well. So we're going to use the use address hook from thirdweb, just like we did before. And then in here, let's create our components. So we'll say some main tags here. We'll put a div in here. And this div will have a style. And we'll give it a margin bottom of, we'll just say 6 rem, so we can clear our chat bar that we're going to create. And we're going to build out our chat component in here. Now, before we start building our chat component, we're going to have to be able to interact with OpenAI to create this AI-generated chat prompt and game. So in order to use OpenAI, we're going to come over here to our files in Pages. I'm going to create a new folder here called API. And in API, I'm going to create a new file, and we're going to call this chat.ts. Right? And then in here, we're going to first install a few things. So I'm going to open up my terminal here, and I'm going to run yarn add, and we're going to add OpenAI and AI here. So we'll install those packages. There we go. Close this. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to get OpenAI. So OpenAI is going to equal a new OpenAI. And what we need to do here is provide our OpenAI API key. So we're going to do API key here, and we're going to store that in our .env file. So we'll just call it the Open API key variable here. We'll add that in a bit after this. Then we're also going to make sure that we run this on edge. So const runtime equals edge. And then we're going to create our handler here, which is going to be a sync. And we're going to function. It's going to be a post function. And this is going to require our request, which is going to be of type request here. And down here, we'll just make sure we export our handler. So what we're going to do to make this request to OpenAI is we're first going to get our messages and our wallet address from our request body. So we're going to say request.json, and the messages are going to be our current message that we are creating to chat with our AI. And then the wallet address is going to be the connected wallet address of the user who is playing our game. And this is for whenever we need to interact and check the blockchain for their key balance or mint them in NFT, we're sending it to this wallet address right over here. We're then going to create a variable for the context here. And this is the context that we're going to be giving OpenAI to give it the role of how our game should be set up and how it should be handled. So our context here, our role, this is for our system. And the content is going to be, we have some example here. So I'm going to paste in the content here that we used for this example. We're basically telling OpenAI to act as if they are a classic text adventure game, and we don't ever want for them to break out a character. We can say here, if we run following functions like check key balance, this function checks the balance of magic keys a player currently holds. We also have a function that we're going to call called send key to player wallet. And this function is going to call and send a key to the player's wallet address when a player finds one of the 3 keys. And you can see here that when the time is right, the player's wallet address is the value is the wallet address. This is going to be the rules that you can set up for your game. Of course, you can configure this the way that you want to. This is just a configuration we're giving our OpenAI chatbot here to kind of play the role of this here. But again, you can configure this how you want. You can add your own rules, add some guidelines and everything to make sure that the game is played the way that you want it to be played. Next, we're going to create a variable called combined messages. And this is just going to equal a new array with our context and our existing messages. Then we're going to get our response here. And this is going to await, we're going to call OpenAI .chat .completions .create. We'll then specify how we want to use our OpenAI chat. So we'll select the model here. For this, we're going to use GPT-4 1106 preview, but you can select whichever GPT you want to use based on what you want to pay for and what you need responses for. So we'll set the stream here to true. We'll set messages here to combine messages. So that's what we created up here. We're then going to create some functions that our model can call. So we haven't created it yet, but we'll add it in a bit. And then we'll set the function call here to auto. So we'll set the function call here to auto so it can call it when needed. So what we'll do next is actually create the functions that we're going to use through thirdweb's engine in case our OpenAI chatbot here needs to call those functions. And again, those functions we explained to OpenAI here that is going to be check key balance and send key to player wallet. So let's create our engine functionality and then come back to this. So over here, I'm going to create in our file directory a new folder. We'll just call this lib, not lin. We'll just call it lib. And in there, we're going to create a new file and we'll call this engine.ts. We'll close this. And in our engine.ts, let's make sure we add engine. So we're going to yarn add at thirdweb-dev/engine. We'll close that. Now we're going to create our functions here. So we're going to export function. And this function is going to be our chat of type chat completion create params. And this is going to be a function of it. This should be functions. So the first function, the name is going to be check keys balance. We can give it a description. So we'll say this is a function that checks the balance of magic keys currently held by a player. We'll then give it the parameters here. The first thing is type, which is going to be an object. We'll give it properties, which we're going to need the address of the connected wallet, which is going to be of type string. We'll give it a description here, which is the wallet address of the player. And what we're going to make is required is going to be the address. The second function here, we're going to have the name, which is the send key to player wallet. We have our description. This is going to be a function that sends a key to the player's wallet when they find it. Then we have our parameters for this function here. This function is going to be of type object as well. We're going to have properties. This is going to have the properties of address, which is going to be of type string. We'll give it a description. It'll also have a property of key color. So depending on which NFT the user finds, and that's going to be of type string. The description is the color of the key that we need to send to the player. And we're going to have required both of these. So both of these will be required. And those are going to be, again, the structure of our two functions that we're going to need based if OpenAI needs to check our balance or claim a key for a player. So now let's actually create these functions. So we'll say a sync function here. We're going to create the check keys balance. This is going to take our address, which is a string. And what we're going to do here is we'll just run a try catch. In the catch, we'll console error our error, and we'll return a JSON stringify with the status of error, and we'll display the error message. We'll just make this of type any here. And what this function is going to do is, again, check the balance of the keys or NFTs that is held by the wallet that is connected. So we're first going to need to get our instance of our engine here so that we can use engine to check the balance. So we're going to say new engine, and we're going to have to get our instance of engine. We're going to provide our engine URL, which in this case, we're going to store in our .env file. We're then going to get our access token, which we are going to store in our .env file as well. We'll make sure that these are strings. So as string and then as string. We can create our function here to get the balance of each of the token IDs of each of the keys. So we're going to say our Crimson key balance. We're going to await. This is an ERC 1155. And then we're going to do balance of. And we need to provide it our wallet address, which is going to be our address. We then need to provide it our token ID. So this is going to be token ID 0. And then we need to also provide it our chain, which we are going to store in a variable. So we'll just say chain here. And then we need the contract address. So we'll just say key contract address, which we'll store in a variable. So let's actually create that now. We'll come back into our files and our lib. We're going to create a new file called constants.ts, and we're just going to export our variables here. So we'll say export. We made chain, which is going to equal Mumbai, const here. And then we're going to export our key contract address, which we're going to get that contract address of the contract we deployed earlier. There we go. And then of course we can just come in here and import this from our constants file. And we can just copy this, and we're going to do this for the 2 other keys because we need to check the balance of those 3 tokens. So the second one here is going to be our Azure key, and then the last one here is going to be our golden key. And then this is going to be token ID 1, and this is going to be token ID 2. Then so once we check those balances there, and we'll return our status here to success. And the data we are going to return will be our Crimson key balance, so our Azure key balance, and our golden key balance. Then in here, we're going to next create our next function, which is going to be an async function again. This one is going to be send key to player wallet, which we need the address and then the color of the key that we need to send. So in this one, we are going to just say let token ID. We're going to create a variable for our token ID here. So depending on which token ID we have to send to the user. So we're going to say if key color dot to lowercase dot includes crimson, then we're going to set the token ID to 0 because that is the token ID for the crimson key. If it is Azure or includes Azure, then we're going to set it to token ID 1. Else, if it is equal to gold or golden, we should say, we're going to set it to token ID 2. Else, we are going to then throw an error saying invalid key color. We'll then run a try catch here. In the catch, we'll just console error our error, and we'll return a JSON stringify of our status with an error and our message with the error message. We'll just set that, oops, to any. Oh, wrong one. This error. Now what this send key to player wallet is going to do is again mint a new NFT and send it over to the wallet of the connected user. So we're going to get our instance of engine again, which will equal a new engine. We can just actually come back up here and copy this. Then we're going to get our response here, which we are going to await. Engine, we're again minting an ERC 1155. What we're going to do is mint additional supply. So if you remember when we deployed our contract, we set the initial supply to 0. And now the only wallet that's going to be able to mint additional supplies to our smart contract is going to be the wallet we deployed with, but we'll be able to also give permission to our engine backend wallet to be able to mint additional supplies as well. So mint additional supply here, what we're going to need is the chain. We're going to need the contract address, which is our key contract address. Next, we're going to need our backend wallet, which we're going to store under our thirdweb, or actually not the private key, but a backend wallet. We'll create these variables in our .env file after. And then after that, we're going to give it our request body here, which for this, it needs a few things. The receiver, who is going to receive this additionally minted NFT. It's going to be the address that of the connected wallet. Which token ID are we minting? So token ID, this is going to equal the token ID that we set based on the color that we set it to. And then finally, the additional supply, we're just going to mint one of whichever token we need to mint more of. We'll then return our response here with status success. The data is going to be, and it's going to be our response.result.queued ID. So when we successfully execute this claim, we'll just be giving back the response QID of the engine QID of the transaction. And then finally here, we're going to export a async function called execute function. This is going to be the function that we use when we need to execute one of these functions here, or have OpenAI execute one of these functions. We need the name of the function to execute, which is going to be a string, and any arguments that we need to provide, which can be any. So over here, we're going to have a switch, which is going to be the name of the function. And based on the name of the function, if the name of the function is check key balance, then we are going to run the check key balance with the arguments of our address here. If the function that we need to execute is send key to player wallet, we are going to call that function there and provide the arguments of the address and the key color that we need to mint. So again, these are going to be the functions that we create that OpenAI can call based on the prompt and everything that our user goes through while playing our game. So now coming back to our chat here, we can actually import functions here. And then down here, we're going to create our stream, which is going to equal an OpenAI stream here, which is going to take our response. We'll also be able to execute our experimental function on call, which is going to be an async function, which again is going to take the name of the function that it needs to call, any of the arguments, which are going to be the arguments that we provided. And then we're going to create a functional message variable here called results, which will await and execute the function based on the name and arguments it provides. We'll then get new messages or response based on the function that was called, which will then create a functional message with the results. And what we're going to return is going to be OpenAI.chat.completions.create. And we're going to create our response to the message, our message response here. So again, we'll set the model here to the same GPT-4 preview. We'll set the stream here to true, and we'll set messages here to what we have our combined messages and our new message. And then down here, we are going to return a new streaming text response that is going to provide our stream here. And that is going to be how we can create our chat for our game. So again, we set what our kind of instructions are for OpenAI here to create this chat game. We have our messages here that is going to be combined with the messages that our user puts in. We'll then submit that to ChatGPT. It uses our combined messages to kind of role play the game out. And if at any time our OpenAI or a game needs to call one of the functions, whether to check the key balance or to claim a key, we can then call those functions here. And it's going to call the functions that we created, our engine functions that we created in this engine.ts file. So it'll call the check keys balance here, or it'll mint an NFT of one of the keys to the player's wallet. And then again, we will get our new messages from our result here and then add that to our conversation or our chat for the game. So now back in our chat.tsx file, we can start creating this actual chat area here. So the actual game component of it. So we're going to create variables for our messages, our input here. We'll have set input, handle submit, and is loading. And we're going to use chat, which we can, if we come up here, we can import use chat from AI/React. And use chat will be able to handle and display all of our chats that we are having with the game. So when we're chatting with our OpenAI game here, we're going to set the body, and the body is going to have our wallet address, which is going to be the address. And I just noticed I put 3 Ds in this address. There we go. And on response, if response.status equals 429, we'll just say, we'll console log that we have reached our rate limit and return out of here. Else, we'll just console log that chat has been initiated. And then on error here, we'll get our error and we'll just console log the error. So now we want to display our chat in our component here. So what we're going to do first is we're going to check our messages. And if messages length is greater than 0, then we can display our messages. If it is not greater than 0, then we're going to create a div here and we'll just create paragraph tags that says let's start playing. Because if it's less than 0, or if it is 0, it means that we haven't started playing the game yet. So we can just say let's start playing. We can just add a few styling here, just to add some padding. And if the length is greater than 0, then we can take our messages and we can map through our messages here, which will be given our message and the index of our message. And here we're going to display a div. And we'll give that div a key of our index. And based on what the message row is, whether it's the user, and if it's not the user, then we'll give it a different styling. So here, the background color, if it is the user, the background color is going to be white. If it's not the user's message, then it's going to be like gray. We'll then create a div here. And this div will be, if it is the user, we'll give it a background color of green. And if not, we'll give it a background color of black. And just so that I'm clear on what we're going over here, we're talking about these little chat boxes here. So again, if it's the user, it's white with green. If it's not, it's kind of a gray with the black. And then depending on the message, so what we'll display is the message.row. If the row is equal to the user, we're going to say that it's the user. If it's not the user, we'll just say bot. And then below that, we're going to add some text here. So a p tag, we'll give it some styling, and we're going to display our message content. So depending, again, who is responding or inputting the text, whether it's the user or our game bot, we're going to give it some different styling here, but we'll give it the message content. Next, down here, we're going to have to create our little input field. So if we come back here, this little input field where we can play our game and input our responses and instructions for our game here. So below all of this here, this messages here, we're going to create another div. We're going to give this div a fixed position on the bottom with a width of 100%, add some background color and everything to it. We're then going to create a form. We're going to reference this form here to our form ref, which we created earlier up here. We're then going to have an onSubmit, which we're going to create a handle submit function, which is what we get through use chat here. And then we gave it some styling. In our form, we're going to have an input field, which we're going to reference our input reference here. The placeholder is just going to be our example. Now you can randomize your example for maybe like some text to start off with if you have more examples here, but we just have just one. So we're just going to put example with index 0. The value is going to be set to input, which we get our setting to our use chat here. We're then going to set input here to on change. We'll just set it to whatever the value of this input is. We'll also create on key. So if someone hits enter, we can submit whatever they have in our input field here. If not, we'll create a button. So we'll create a button here that is disabled when it is loading. So whenever we submit a response here, it's going to be disabled. If it is loading, it'll say loading. If not, the button should say send, and we can send our message. And then back in our index.tsx, right here when we have connected, we can add our chat component and we can hit save. So if I come back to my app here, right over here, you can see that we have our let's start playing because we haven't inputted anything and we haven't started playing our game yet. You can see down here we have our input field where we can enter something. If I hit Sean and I hit send, right now it's not going to do anything because we haven't added our OpenAI API key and we haven't put in our variables for engine as well. So coming back to our code editor here, we're going to go to our .env file. We're going to add a few variables. We're going to need to add our OpenAI API key. We're going to add our engine URL. We're also going to add our engine access token. And we're also going to have to add our engine backend wallet. Now your engine URL, you can get to your instance of engine and paste in the URL there. You'll get your access token within the settings of engine on your engine dashboard. So if I come to engine here and I connect to one of my instances of engine, under permissions, you can create your access token. This will allow you API access to your engine instance. Once you create that, you can paste that in. You'll also need an OpenAI API key. So if you have an OpenAI account, you can sign in, you can go to your API keys and you can create an API key there, but you also need to provide that as well in order to, again, use OpenAI to create that AI generated chat for our game. I'm going to add those API keys and access token in, and then we'll continue from there. So there you go. I added in my API and access tokens. The other thing I forgot to go over is the backend wallet, which if we come back to our instance of engine here and we go to our engine dashboard to the overview page, your backend wallet here is your backend wallet that when we make a call to engine, this is the wallet that is going to execute all of the blockchain transactions for us. So I have a backend wallet here that I'm going to use. We'll actually have to copy that backend wallet and head on over back to our NFT contract. And we're going to give permission for this wallet to claim and mint additional NFTs here. So I'm going to head over to the permissions tab. This is the permissions to determine who can mint and create new tokens on this contract. And right now it's set to my thirdweb, or the wallet that I have connected to my thirdweb dashboard, but it doesn't have, my backend wallet doesn't have permission to mint or create NFTs, which we do want to give access to because again, that backend wallet is the one that's executing all these transactions. So I'm going to paste in my backend wallet there, hit plus to add the address, and then update permissions. I'm then going to confirm that transaction. There you go. That's been updated. So we can come back to our game here. We're going to just refresh really quick. So we're logged in with our wallet here. It says, let's start playing. It says, first off, what is your name? I hit Sean. You can see here that we now get a response back saying, welcome, Sean. And we start playing our game here. So you can see our balance is currently 0 for each of the keys. So I can just say, what is my key balance? And it says our current key balance is a 0, 0, 0. So what do we want to do first? We're going to say search the path and let's start playing this game a little until we can claim a key. Let's just say, let's go west. So it looks like we have a riddle says, I'm not alive, but I can grow. I don't have lungs, but need air. I don't have a mouth, but water kills me. What am I? So let's just say, you are fire. Looks like we discovered the crimson key. So let's just say, great. Claim the key. So it looks like it says that it's been successfully claimed. Let's check. There we go. You can see our transaction came through. It's sent. It's been mined. So now if we come back to our contract here and we check NFTs, crimson key is number 1 here. So you can see our supply just went up to 1. We can come back to our game here and just say, what is my key balance again? And you can see here, crimson key is 1, azure is 0, and golden is 0. So now that could just be pulling up our information here from the knowledge it has on our conversation. But if we refresh and we start a new conversation here, we'll just say Sean. So it's going to start our new game here. We can just ask it, what is my key balance? So we'll let it finish doing its little introduction here. Oh, you can see here it already checked and it says I have 1 crimson key and 0 a blue and 0 azure and 0 gold. But we can just check the balance one more time here. And yeah, you can see 1 crimson key, 0 azure, and 0 gold keys. So there you have it. We created our very own Web3 AI game using OpenAI and utilizing thirdweb's engine. Now, this was just an example of a game, but you can check out the GitHub repo link down in the description below. You can tweak it a little bit, create your own version of this. And if you even want to share it with us on social media, you can do that and we'll be happy to check out your game. But again, I hope you folks found some value in this video and you enjoyed it. If you did, give this video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on tutorial videos just like this. Now, if you need any support or any help with anything that we just went over, you can open up a support ticket with our support team and we'll be happy to help you out and answer any of your questions. We'll add a link to that down in the description below as well. But again, I hope you folks enjoyed this video and until next time, see ya.